All right, Mr. Ahmed here working on 1.1 Part 2 notes. In this lesson, we're going to introduce a plane along with our points, lines, and segments and rays. A plane is a two-dimensional flat surface that extends indefinitely in all directions. So when we kind of think of a plane, I would think of it something like the floor of a room or the ceiling of a room, except it goes on forever and ever and ever. When we name a plane, we can pick any 3 points on the plane that are not on the same line. So in this case, I could name the plane BAC, CAM. I have options. So I'm going to call it plane BAC. Notice when I put the 3 points down to name the plane, I do not use a comma. That's why when we named 3 points, we had to put a comma in between them. When we were naming points, it was separate, but here, since we're naming the plane, all 3 points go right next to one another. Another way you might see it is with a capital letter in one of its corners. So in this case, M is in the corner without a point next to it, so I could also call it plane M. And make sure you say that it's plane M, all right? Kind of like when we did line, we had to call it line L, line M, line N, etc. So those are the 2 ways to name a plane. Coplanar, very similar to collinear. Coplanar are any points that are on the same plane. Now, one key thing here is through any 3 points, there could exist a plane. So in this case, points B, A, and C are coplanar. M is not a point because there is not a dot next to it. So B, A, and C, those 3 points with a comma, because now I'm talking about points, those points are coplanar. Parallel planes are 2 planes that do not intersect. So in this case, kind of when we look at this box, I know that it appears as if the box is ending, and that's really because I can't draw something on a piece of paper indefinitely. So we just have to assume that the top and the bottom would keep going on forever and ever. Same thing with the right side and the left side, or the front and the back. In this case, the top and the bottom one, they do not intersect. They are parallel. So I'm going to name the 2 parallel planes, and I'm going to pick the top plane and the bottom plane. Those 2 as being parallel. So for me to name the top, I have to pick 3 points on it. So I'm going to take B, A, and C. So plane BAC is parallel to plane bottom FEG. And again, when I name the plane, I do not need a comma between the points. So BAC on the top, FEG on the bottom. And that's kind of the basis for our definitions for planes. With the plane piece, we're going to move on and start finding some examples. Important intersections. The first piece is when a line and a plane intersect, they intersect at a point. So in this case, line D intersects plane D at point A. When 2 planes intersect, they make a line because they keep on going forever and ever and ever. So in this example, plane R and plane S, they intersect at line AB. All right? So let's take a peek at our first example. In example 1, I'm just going to take a quick look at the diagram. I see a couple lines, and I also see a plane. All of the lines are in the plane. All right, it's very obvious when one of the lines is not in the plane, just like up here, it sticks out. Okay, so these ones are all on the plane. And the first one says name the plane shown. So I have some options here. It appears as if I could call it plane F, this capital letter, because this is line L, little letter. So I'm going to call it plane F. I also could just pick any 3 points on it, not on the same line. So WTU could be an example as well. So there are multiple options for how I could name this plane. The next step, what lines are shown in the plane? Well, I see 1 line, 2 line, 3 lines. I'm going to name those based off the little letters. Keep in mind these are not points, that's the name of the line. There's no dot next to them. So I have line L, M, and N. Line L, line M, line N. I also could have named line L, line TU. Just make sure you use the arrows above it. So you have options. Next step, what is the intersection of line M and N? So here's line M, line N, they intersect at a point. That point is point R. And I could also say point if I'd like. Next one was another name for line M. So another way to name line M, here's M. Well, I have to pick 2 points on it, R and Q. So line with arrows, R, Q, could also have called it QR. All right, use the diagram to name all of the points that are coplanar with the given points. So let's see here, I have points P, Q, and R. P, Q, R. So that means I'm talking about the plane in front. The only other point that I see is on the plane in front is point S, so S is coplanar with those. And next one, I have to identify P, W, and X. So where's P, W, X? That's the left side. And the other point that's on that plane on the left is point Q. So just have to identify what it's asking me for and locate. All right, got a few more here. There we go. Make sure we can see everything. Example A says, name a line that contains point T and P. So let's see here. I have to name a line that has T and P. I have a little, I'd say that's line G. I could also just call it line PT. So I'm going to go PT, arrows above, because it's a line. Lines keep on going. I could have also said line G. Either option there would be correct. Next one, name a line that intersects the plane containing points Q, N, and P. So the plane, Q, N, P, that's the plane, only one that I really see, and the line that intersects it goes through it. These 2 lines are on it. Line J, on the other hand, goes through it, so it intersects it. So line J. Name the plane that contains TN, line TN, and line QR. You could call it plane S, big letter in the corner. Also, I could name it by picking 3 points on it that are not on the same line. So I cannot call this plane RTQ. All right, that's not acceptable because those are on the same line. I can't call it PTN. Those are on the same line. So I'm going to pick P, R, and T. So the 3 points to name the plane cannot be on the same line. And what is the intersection of line J and plane S? Well, where does line J intersect plane S? At point T. All right, moving onward. Next example says, how many planes are in the figure shown? All right, well, it looks like I have this trapezoid on top and the one on the bottom. Now, the one on the bottom is the same plane as plane A because it's in it. So I have one on top, one on the bottom, left and right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, front 5, back 6. There are 6 total planes. Name a pair of lines that are coplanar. Numerous options here. Now, since we're talking about planes, one kind of tricky piece here is these look like segments. However, but since it's a plane, I could assume that they keep going on forever and ever and ever. I'm pretty lenient on this type of an example. If you called it segment TW, I wouldn't probably mark it wrong, but technically TW could be inferred as a line because it does keep going. So I'm going to say line TW, and another one that's in that plane, on the top, I could take WP or QP. I'm going to go with QP over here. Those lines are in the same plane. They're both on top. You could have picked 2 lines on the bottom, 2 lines on the right, 2 lines on the left. There's numerous options for that question. So many of these questions have more than one answer. Part C, what is the intersection of plane QPN? So where's QPN? QPN. That is the plane over here on the right side. I located where QP and N are on the right. And it says, what is the intersection of plane QPN and plane A? So QPN, I'm going to actually highlight this one, make it even easier to see. We're talking about this plane right here on the right. And we're asking where it intersects plane A. Plane A is on the bottom. So the right plane and the bottom plane intersect at line RN. Keep in mind, two planes intersect at a line. They keep on going forever and ever and ever. Name a pair of what appear to be parallel planes. So name a pair of planes that appear to be parallel is what we're trying to ask here. Name a pair of parallel planes that appear to be parallel. Name a pair. Could have worded that one a little bit better. So let's take the top and the bottom. The top one is TWP. The symbol for parallel is two lines going up and down. So I'm going to use that symbol for this one. And the bottom plane is plane A, or I could call it SMN. I'm going to say SMN. Could have named that bottom plane numerous ways. All right, and lastly, our points NR, S, and W coplanar. NR, S, W's on top. NR and S are on the bottom, W's on top. So they are not coplanar. W is in a different plane. All right, now we're going to look at some drawings. With the drawings, make sure you read the whole question first. And my recommendation is if you have to draw a plane, start by drawing the plane. So it says AK and CG intersect at point M on plane T. So I'm going to start by drawing the plane because that's the most difficult thing to draw. When I draw a plane, it's just like a rectangular type piece, parallelogram, I don't really care. Just something with four sides. Plane T, capital T, in one of the corners. Okay, I have to label it out. Now I'm going to start drawing the lines. Line AK, I don't care. A line keeps on going forever, has to have arrows. A, K, and CG intersect at point M. So they have to intersect. Keyword here, they intersect. So when they touch, I'm going to draw C and G to make the second line. They intersect at point M. Second example, start by drawing the plane. I don't really care how you draw your four-sided figure. There we go, plane M. And let's start by drawing US. US is a ray. Starts at U, goes to S. U, S. And TU lie on plane M. Now TU is a line, so T, I don't care. I'm going to go something like this and make a line and call this T. So point U and point T make this line going up and down. It's still on the same plane. You could have really drawn that line facing any direction. And lastly, writing a description of the following diagram. If you're asked to write a description, be very specific. Say everything that you see. Make it very obvious. The first thing I see is I have plane N. So in plane N, we have line CB and CD. So line CB and line CD, I'm going to start by saying that. Line CB and line BC lie on plane N. The next thing I see is that line AE, I'm going to scratch that off. I don't need to call it a line. Use my arrows. Line AE intersects plane N at point, where does it intersect? At point B. And I think kind of the last thing I could say is I could also say that line CB, arrows above, and line CD intersect at point C. And that's pretty much a solid description. I think the only other thing that I could say is points A, B, and E are collinear. Because they're on the same line. So that'd be a solid description. Just write down as much as you can. I know this video got a bit long. Like we said, we're trying to keep them at 15 or at 10. This one hit 15. So have a great rest of the day. If you have any questions, please bring them to class.